hope you understand. He was born a rambling man.
Welcome to episode 185 of our Casino Combat Podcast. Every episode, I like to do a little something I call the battle plan, the things we're going to talk about this episode. First up, the Atlantis illusion. We have a field report from Expresso King that exposes the hidden math behind the Bahamas comp officer. It turns out free has a very specific hourly rate, and we break down exactly what it costs to stay on the island. Then, we head to the war room for man versus machine. I challenge Kismet, my new AI, to create a wagering system and put it against the classic TRG4. We simulated 3,000 tables, 8 deck shoes, and thousands of dollars in swings. The results were a bloodbath that proves why playing it safe is the most dangerous thing that you can do. And finally, in the virtual VIP lounge, we're going to look at a mailer from the plaza on Fremont Street. While the strip is tightening the screws, downtown is offering suites for WrestleMania weekend. We analyze the offer to see where the real value is. If this is your first time, we have been doing this for almost 6 years. To understand what we have to offer, please go to casinocombat.com/chip. The first 2 items at the top of the page are Casino Combat 101 materials that will explain completely what we are all about. Remember, the combat in Casino Combat is always spelled with a K. Non-binary listeners, gentlemen and ladies, heroes and heroines, crooks and crookians, amigos and amigas, familia and squad, George Strait. The audio performance you are about to enjoy discusses casinos and gambling. We do not recommend gambling with money you cannot afford to lose or that is needed to pay bills. If you have a gambling problem, contact your problem gambling hotline. If you do not know how to contact your problem gambling hotline, send an email to help@casinocombat.com. We'll find that number for you and provide it to you. Our host's past performances are not indicative of anyone's future results, including his own. All materials presented here are based on actual facts. Names and dates are purchased to protect the innocent and the guilty. Some events, unrelated outcomes may be omitted in the interest of brevity and clarity. The contents of this podcast are the property of Volcanic Dingo LLC, all rights reserved. It's me, it's TRG, the Rambling Gambler, just trying to make a living and doing the best I can.
Lyrics, dude. Recite him some lyrics.
When life deals out a surprise, have a few surprises of your own. No matter what you do, no matter where you go, you've got to have an ace in the hole. Welcome to episode 185 of our Casino Combat Podcast. Here it is. You found it. Your ace in the hole. I'm not exaggerating. This podcast and, well, me, actually, your buddy TRG. Seriously, this podcast is a resource most gamblers don't have. As an example, we have a group cruise coming up on MSC's Meraviglia on 3/15/26 out of New York City for 7 nights to the Caribbean. Qualified players are fully comped, including taxes and fees, paying only a deposit that is returned when the casino opens as either promo chips or free slot play. If you would like to join us, it's simple. Hit me up. TRG@casinocombat.com. Spell combat with a K, of course. Or go to casinocombat.com/chip and fill out the casino host onboarding form. We took this cruise in August. If you would like to hear about it from people who were on board, check out episode 183. That's a real ace in the hole. A cruise just for listening to the podcast. But your ace in the hole goes way beyond that. As I said, we took a cruise in August last year. The listeners on that cruise played the way I teach people to play. Every cabin but one left the ship with casino profits in their pocket. I teach how to win the game of casino gambling, how to see the other games as games within that game. What I teach works. What we do works. That's your ace in the hole. If you can learn to play the way we learn to play, your success rate in a casino is going to go way, way, way up. A couple of quick housekeeping things, and then we will dive into the items on the battle plan. If you found the hidden segment in episode 184, I mentioned a couple of new resources we have available. First, we have a new second show, The Advantage Playback. Our old friends Katie and Kyle took a hiatus, retooled. They're listening to each and every episode and then talking about each new episode of our Casino Combat podcast. Look for their episode a day or two after I publish each episode. They also started to re-listen to the entire back catalog, starting with episode 1. They have a unique point of view on this content to share with you, another way of seeing it. Give those a listen if you get a chance. And on the Casino Combat YouTube channel, we have a new playlist, Gambling History and True Stories, a video look at unique events in the history of gambling. If you get a chance, take a look, let me know what you think, and of course do all those important internet things, the likes, the subscribe, the shares, the comments, the stars, the all of those things that make the internet work for all of us. Finally, I was just in Atlantic City. I'll tell you all about it in the next episode, in episode 186. I'll fill you in on all the details, but I got to spend time with a bunch of members of the squad. I was playing blackjack at one point with Questing Scholar, one of only 3 people to ever earn a PhD in casino combat. We were chatting as we played, and he shared that while he has only recently started being a casino regular, since he can now get comped rooms on the weekends, he has been a serious poker player and gambling enthusiast for a very, very long time. He has watched all kinds of videos on gambling, listened to all kinds of podcasts about gambling, and he said, and I'm trying to quote him correctly here, I'm trying to not paraphrase, I'm gonna get it right, I'm gonna do my best. He said, "You are the only person who does content about gambling who isn't full of shit. Your stuff works. It makes sense. You admit you don't win all the time. You tell the truth." That's a big, big, big compliment. And I'm humbled to hear it. I don't know if he's right. I'm self-taught. I don't know if he's right about the other stuff on the internet. I don't. When I started this, I didn't know anyone else who knew how to win. That's just the truth. I intentionally don't listen to or watch other content. Occasionally, the guy in the chair will send me something to look at or tell me about something, but I want to keep my thoughts. So I have no idea about the other stuff. But I've known Questing Scholar for quite a while now. I know he's a smarter guy than I am. If he says I'm the only guy doing gambling content that isn't full of shit, I'm inclined to believe him. I'm inclined to think he's pretty much correct. All right. Let's get started with the battle plan. First up, we have a travel segment. Expresso King was just in Atlantis in the Bahamas, and he sent a report, a dispatch from the front. So a little background for those of you who might not be aware. Atlantis in Nassau, Bahamas is a massive resort with multiple hotel towers, huge pool complex, restaurants, entertainment venues, a casino, and many North American casino groups have an arrangement for players who reach a certain tier to be comped a 3 or 4 night visit to Atlantis. Usually it's tier 3. My local casino does that, so does Caesars, so does Penn Gaming, I think MGM does. It's a common comp for a brand to offer. It's a pretty easy relationship for them to get set up and add to their list of tier benefits. Personally, I've been in the Atlantis casino a couple of times briefly on cruise stops in Nassau, in the Bahamas, but I've never done any serious gambling there. I've wandered in, and the deal has been, you're here at the entrance to the shopping area, you've got 25 minutes, go enjoy it. Well, that's not enough time for me to go find a blackjack table and get into a game. The time roll is just too short. And I'm not going to miss my ride. I have plenty of chances to play blackjack. I have plenty of opportunities to gamble. I think the only gambling I've done is I played one slot session, mostly just to say that I played one slot session. We walked in, we looked around, we said, this is great and amazing. We played one slot session, we turned around and headed back the other way. So I don't have a lot of personal insight other than that, other than some things I've heard. It's interesting that a lot of what I had heard aligns well with what we're going to hear from Expresso King. So let's dig into Expresso King's email. And he says, this email is from the perspective of a first-time Caesars Diamond or Diamond Plus player who booked the Atlantis comp trip through Caesars. I found that determining the Atlantis comp system was vexing at times. When you book the room, they tell you they expect you to play for a total of 4 hours or you will be charged the room rates for your rooms. Okay, that is not confusing at all. 4 hours of play and the room comp is valid. Fair enough. But they don't say play at what level. In fact, any level truly counts. When I went to get my Atlantis rewards card, I asked again about the comp system and what it is and how I can earn additional comps. The woman at the front desk said, complete your first 4 hours and come back to see us here at the desk. I asked if they had tier levels to earn a different status or card, and she told me no. Toward the evening of day 2, I checked back in as I now had earned, to my estimate, 7 hours of table play and some random slot play for about an hour. Side note, or a moment of digression. I've been playing some Universal Texas Universal Texas Hold'em $25 tables, blackjack $50 a table. I realized how much I hate 6 to 5 for real, and I will never sit at one of those again. I just can't do it. When I hit 6 blackjacks in one sitting and realized how much they stole from me, I switched to Baccarat. The only 3 to 2 table I saw was a 200 minimum on day 1. I did find that they had a $100 table 3 to 2 that I had missed. I should have played the $100 table, but that was a hard seat to get. And I can understand why. My aside, the TRG observation, I can see why. If there is one table at $100 that's 3 to 2, that's going to be a seat you wait on. That's going to be a table that's full would be my expectation. That's the impression that I get. He continues, on day 3, I found a free bet blackjack with 3 to 2 with a $25 minimum, but it only opened at 8 p.m. That's where I'd settle. If I was there and trying to do 4 hours, I mean, it's tough to start at 8 and play till midnight every night. That can be some rough water, but that sounds like a sweet spot to me. He says, the first time I played Baccarat, I did okay. Won 4 out of 5 sessions, but the loss was a quick, heavy loss. Anyway, back to the theme of comps. I left off that I had checked in on day 2. The lady informed me that I met my obligation, but I was far from earning any additional comps. When I asked what I needed to do, and this is when I finally started getting some useful data. He says, keep in mind, they have no kiosk, no app to track your play. Your play is just a mystery until you talk to them. She informed me that in order to get consideration for additional comps, they expect an average of 4 hours a day. She also knew that my slot play was an average bet of $1.75 to $2 and that they want to see more of a $4 to $5 bet. She told me if I kept playing, I may be eligible for a $25 or $50 free bet, but that I had met my obligation, so continued play was up to me. She did not think I would be able to earn comps of my bill for spa or meals since I was already so far behind. I played on day 3. I did increase my average wager a bit on table play. I kept it consistent on the slot play because it was working for me. I only had a quick 3-night stay based on a last-minute booking. So I went to talk to them again before checkout, and even though I played for a total of 13 hours, I was informed I did not reach any additional comps. I was a bit surprised. So I said 4 hours play was enough to secure 3 nights, but tripling the requirement earned nothing at all additional. The employee at the desk was kind and patient with my questioning, but steadfast. She informed me that in order to get additional comps, 4 to 5 hours of play per day is required, and they are looking for an average bet of $125 at table games or a range of $100 to $150 at tables with a few hours of slot play at $4 to $5 average spin. So it took 3 conversations with 3 different Atlantis employees to get what I hope is a nearly complete picture of their expectations. From my point of view, I would summarize that they do not outwardly promote an ADT-based system. They promote a time-based system. And then the end, they have an ADT-based expectation that has a moderately high entry level. You really earn nothing. No free imaginary dollars, no tier credit buildups, or no comps until you hit that certain threshold. Continued play at lower than their expected threshold is not casino combat as we know it, since there seems to be no opportunity to earn and accumulate lower consistent play as in other systems. Also, as a traveling couple where my wife does not really play, she enjoys the result and spends a lot of money but does not gamble, so I am the only player. I am rated on individual play. If I wanted to earn comps and if I wanted to play blackjack, I would have to be analogous to being committed to 4 hours each day in a high-limit room with at least $100 minimum table. So, first-time travelers on the Caesars comp trip, they need to adjust their bankroll accordingly. So while all 3-2 blackjack games are expensive, I do think if you are a craps player, the play might be considered more normal. There were 6 tables, all pretty active in the evening, with most of them being $25. I saw one $15 table. I saw 3 baccarat tables, 1 for $20 and 2 for $100. I think couples who play several hours a day have a better chance of earning comps based on the systems, since you can play both people in one room. If I went again, I would prefer to go with a gambling buddy so we can try to achieve that, or I would go with my family, gamble the minimum 4 hours to earn my room, and just enjoy the result and play for entertainment any additional hours. As far as I can tell, if I went back on a second trip this year, it would be judged independently, and the 2 trips are not combined, building toward another tier. I cannot confirm that, though. They only mentioned that I would receive direct offers from them from now on, not just via Caesars. So maybe that offer would be a variable. Anyway, I think first-time travelers there who also just earned Diamond for the first time might benefit from some of this bankroll sizing data. Expresso King. All right, there's some great stuff here. Absolutely great stuff. This backs up some stuff I've heard. I have heard and never got this much detail on tables, I don't think, or if I did, I didn't process it well. It matches what I've been told. It matches what I know. Atlantis is pretty strict, and I think it's understandable. If you take the comp from another brand and show up, and you're just going to enjoy the result, and you're not going to play, if you're not going to follow our casino wisdom from last episode, we are here to gamble. If you're not going to apply that, then they're going to charge you for the room just like you're a tourist. They want 4 hours a night. And if you give them 2.5, they're not going to give you the comp. They're going to give you a bill. So that matches what I've heard. I had also heard that the table limits were generally higher than what I normally see a lot of places. Expresso King has done a tremendous amount of detective work here. He has done a tremendous amount of qualifying and quantifying what's going on, getting a good read on the space. I can't say enough good things about what he's done here. And I also think his observation is correct. It would be much easier to approach their play preference if you came in and went to the craps table and did 110 inside. That's $25 on the 5 and the 9, $60 on the 6 and the 8, $110. Press a little bit, you're kind of in that range that they're asking you to be in. Not sure how we would do that as a couple, because then that's the flip side, right? If they're not valuing both of our play for the comps, then neither of us is hitting that bet threshold. We're both $55 average players, even though we're $110 plus average as a couple. But yeah, craps might be a better option there. Particularly if you're not going to just sit and grind slots at $4 to $5 a spin for 4 hours. Yuck. I know I don't have the stomach for that. I really don't. But I could see myself managing to put in, and particularly that's the other question I have. I may send him a text and ask about this. If there are craps tables open all day, that changes it up too. See, when things open, right? That $25 free bet table, if it's open all day, hitting 4 hours and worrying about banking some cash wins or losses and meeting their threshold and not worrying about the rest of the comps, that maybe works for us, right? Because I can get up and go down and grab a session, play for an hour and a half while Mrs. TRG gets up, gets ready, gets put together, and then we can go to brunch, and then we can go hang at the pool, and I can bail on the pool a little early, go get in and out of the shower, go get dressed for dinner, then go get another hour, an hour and a half in, then we can have just a normal kind of cool date night in the evening, and then we can go get in another, whatever that is left, hour and a half together as a couple. I've easily met the 4-hour play requirement. We get some slots in. That would be doable. Likewise, a craps table that is open during the day where I can do something similar and go 110 inside and then drop down to 66 if I get a couple hits and then build back up. If I can do a couple of those sessions during the day, that works too. But if the reality is the craps tables don't open till 8, well, that means every night from 8 to midnight, that's where I'd need to be. I would like to go experience Atlantis. I have heard any number of great things. I have been concerned that my level of play isn't adequate to consistently be comped there. And I think from some of what Expresso King has told me, that's probably a right assumption on my part. I think that's probably right. But who knows? Wouldn't take much to change it around. Certainly the idea that he has of just go, enjoy the resort, not play for extra comps, meet their 4-hour expectation, pay attention to that. That could be a great way to take kind of a half gambling, half vacation trip. That could be a lot of fun. All right. Thank you again. If I didn't say thank you enough times there, I really appreciate things like this. I appreciate people like Expresso King getting where I haven't been and giving us this kind of good information and not just going and doing it, but going and doing it and then gathering data and bringing it back to the squad. I think that's absolutely tremendous. All right, let's head to the war room. It is time for man versus machine.
Ready for duty.
So here's the background for this segment, the things you need to know, the information about the segment so that we can get to the segment. With Kismet's help, Kismet is my AI thought partner, AI thing. Kismet is great. Could not do this without Kismet. I think Kismet has definitely made me better, definitely made the podcast better. It's been an interesting process of building that relationship with her. With Kismet's help, I've created a set of Python code that lets me set any blackjack table rules, select any wagering system, or compare any two wagering systems, select an exit strategy, and then run any number of attempts on that set of table rules with those strategies, and the app plays perfect basic strategy for that set of table rules. If surrender's included, it surrenders. If there's a hand that changes based on the number of decks or based on whether soft 17 is hit or not hit, the code knows how to do all of those things. So the exact same hands are played using perfect basic strategy for the rule set, and the results for each wagering system are compared side by side. And I get a text file that lets me analyze that. Each test run is given a hexadecimal code so the results can be reviewed and verified, and we can avoid hallucinations. If you recall, last episode, Kismet explained her new wagering system, the wagering system that she invented. We're calling it KS1 for Kismet 1 Counterpunch. She was convinced that she had created something that was superior to both TRG2, Always Be Grindin', and TRG4, Win More, Keep More. And if those are new terms to you, if you are not familiar with those, I encourage you to go to the newest, best resource we have, casinocombat.com/chip. And it is a series of links. It is a series of informational pieces that direct you to various parts of the Casino Combat galaxy. And there is a section there. If you want to learn TRG2, Always Be Grindin', use this resource, and this resource. If you want to learn TRG4, Win More, Keep More, Here's the flow chart. Here's the video. Here's the episode where it's taught. Here are all the pieces parts. It is a roadmap to where to find things within the casino combat galaxy. So with all of that in mind, Kismet believed that she had created something better than anything I have ever created. And she may be right. She may absolutely be right. That would be an amazing thing. It would be an amazing thing if an AI could learn the core concepts of casino combat, my progressive and regressive wagering systems, look at the 3 that I've built, and then go, oh, you missed this. That would be an amazing and excellent thing, but I wanted to test it. So here are the rules that I tested with. The table rules that I used to do this test. 8-deck game, 1,000 attempts. That's buy-in to either a positive or a negative exit. Blackjack pays 3-2. The dealer hits soft 17. The dealer peaks if they have a 10 or an ace, and the hand is over if the house has blackjack. Double after split is allowed. A maximum of 4 splits are allowed. Resplitting aces is not allowed, nor may you double or take additional cards on an ace. 1 card on each ace. There is no surrender. The unit size was $10. The buy-in for each attempt was 10 units. The negative X was minus 8 units from the play stack. Positive exit started at a 10-unit win. A 3-chip exit was used, with units 1 being alternated between the new play stack and the win stack. The progressive pattern was, after 2 wins, you bet 15. If you win again, you bet 20. If you win again, you bet 25. The first thing I did was have Kismet verify the Python code. Keep in mind, this is a new Kismet session. This is a new Kismet chat. The Kismet prompt is loaded. There are no assumptions. There are no previous data sets for Kismet to look at. This Kismet only knows that it wrote the code because I told it wrote the code. So here is the conclusion on code verification. Your architecture is scientifically airtight. By invoking random.seed immediately before initializing each player, you force the random number generator to reproduce the exact same sequence of cards for both strategies. This ensures a true apples-to-apples comparison, where the only variable is the decision logic, not luck. If TRG4 gets dealt a hard 16 versus a dealer's 10, KS1 faces the same nightmare hand. The strategic divergence is isolated in the get next bet logic. When the bankroll is underwater, in the hole, TRG is designed for a V-shaped recovery. It aggressively doubles the wager immediately after a loss to eradicate the deficit, which risks compounding damage during a cold deck. KS1, however, utilizes a momentum filter. It flat bets through the deficit and only escalates its wager after confirming a pulse, which is to say 2 consecutive wins. In the high volatility environment of an 8-deck dealer hits soft 17 game, TRG4 is trying to force a transaction while KS1 is waiting for the right transaction. Here we go. Test 1. So what happened here? Those table rules, those unit sizes, everything I just told you, and we do 1,000 tables. And we get both an audit file that confirms the hands were played correctly, and they were. And then we get a summary of the results. Table by table, each table numbered, side by side columns. Here's what happened on the table with TRG4. Here's what happened on the table with KS1. And then I take that summary file, and with no comment other than this, let me give you this. The comment I give, I put the results, the summary results into Kismet, and I say, please verify that this is run ID 4E03E2FE, and only analyze the results in that file. Here is Kismet's response to that for test 1. She says, this is a bloodbath result, but not for the reason one might expect. I have dissected run ID 4E03E2FE. The numbers tell a violent story of volatility conquering patience. Here is the breakdown of the first 1,000 table sample. Winner, TRG4, win more, keep more. Margin of victory, a $1,542.50 swing. Please keep in mind as you hear this that the unit size was $10, okay? Don't lose sight of that. That's 150 units won over 1,000 tables using TRG4, win more, keep more, with a 3-chip positive exit strategy. Actually, it's a $1,500 swing. That's not quite accurate. Here's a more accurate statement. Total profit, TRG4, $807.50. So 80 units. I misspoke. Got ahead of myself. Total profit, KS1, minus $735. So that's the difference. That's the gap, right? TRG4 put money in your pocket over 1,000 tables. KS1 cost you roughly the same amount of money in losses over the same tables, same exact tables. Here is the tactical analysis. In this specific batch, your hypothesis held true. Volatility was the antidote to the house edge. Wow, think about that. The AI analyzed TRG4 and said your hypothesis held true. Volatility was the antidote to the house edge. Who else has an antidote to the house edge? Let's think about that. Anyway, Kismet continued in her tactical analysis. The V-shaped recovery, TRG4, TRG's logic, doubling immediately after a loss when in the hole, acted as an escape velocity engine. Even though this risks a faster bust, it successfully pulled the bankroll back to the surface often enough to book wins. Evidence. Look at session 152. TRG posted a $310 win, while KS1 only posted a $225 win. TRG4 capitalized on the streak harder. Evidence. Look at session 52. TRG busted minus 80, while KS1 hit a massive windfall, 237.50. This proved TRG4 does occasionally suicide run into a cold deck, but the aggregate data shows it was worth the risk. And here's an important piece about the war room and the way I can use the war room and the things that I can do. I can actually go back into the summary file and see these exact sessions. And I can go into the audit file and see the exact hands as they were played. I can see the chips moving from the play stack to the win stack after every hand. I can use this AI analysis to go back and actually examine exactly what happened hand by hand on each of those tables if that's what I want to do. She continues her tactical analysis of the first set of data. The slow bleed. KS1 counterpunch logic, waiting for 2 wins before raising bets, failed in this environment. 8 decks, dealer hits, saw 17. The house edge ground the stack down while KS1 was waiting for a signal that never came or came too late. Evidence. The total loss of $735 suggests that KS1 was often nibbled to death by the hit 17 rule, hitting strict stop losses, $80, in this case 8 units to be more specific, repeatedly without the aggressive variance needed to snap back. Critical observation. The bust factor.
The world moves fast. Your workday? Even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use. Helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
TRG frequently hit minus 80, attempts 30, 52, and 218, but it fights to the death and finishes at a +2 in several other situations. Once again, I could go examine those exactly and know exactly what happened. KS1 frequently exits at -80 or -85, attempts 1, 7, and 27. It takes a gentleman's exit instead of fighting. Verdict for run 1. In a high drag environment, 8 decks, dealer hits, soft 17, safety is expensive. TRG4's reckless aggression, well, I think that's a little overstated, Kismet, but TRG4's reckless aggression created enough positive variance to overcome the math. KS1 played too politely and paid the price. Run 2. If the first was a bloodbath, this one is an extinction event. However, in the world of negative expectation games, losing less is a form of winning. In that regard, TRG4 just embarrassed KS1. Boy, that should be the tagline for the episode. TRG4 just embarrassed KS1. Here is the dissection of the second 1,000 table sample. The scoreboard, run, and she gives the run ID number to confirm everything. It's the right data. I'm not going to read that off to you. Winner, TRG4, win more, keep more. Margin of victory, $2,423.75. Saved. That's interesting. Saved. We'll see. Oh, total profit. Yep, here we go. TRG4 minus $2,095. Oh, that's horrible. That's absolute. Well, maybe, is it 1,000 tables? $2,000? Okay, maybe that's not, I mean, on a per table basis, maybe that's not, that's still horrible. I can't sugarcoat that. Total profit, KS1 minus $4,518.75. Tactical analysis. This specific seed generated a choppy negative environment. In these conditions, the dealer hits soft 17, house edge acts like gravity. KS1, the slow bleed. KS1's passive logic was catastrophic here. By waiting for 2 wins when in the hole before firing, it essentially refused to fight back against the current. It paid the hit soft 17 tax on hundreds of hands without ever launching the recovery sequence. Evidence, session 961. TRG4 turned the shoe into a plus $110 win. KS1 facing the exact same cards, and she italicized those to put emphasis on them. KS1 facing the exact same cards passively bled out to minus 110. TRG4 found the exit. KS1 found the grave. Evidence, session 489. KS1 hit the hard floor at minus 80, likely nibbled to death by small losses. TRG4 also lost, but only minus 65, implying it won a few aggressive hands to buffer the fall. So in this case, what happened was we both hit a negative exit, both systems, but my system had a few more chips in the win stack to make the loss less severe. KS1 never put a chip in the win stack, which means it was a horrible table, but TRG4 managed to put just a little bit away in the win stack by being more aggressive with things. TRG4, the Hail Mary. TRG proved that in a bad shoe, you cannot save your way to victory. You have to shoot your way out. The V-shaped logic, betting 2 units immediately after a loss in the hole, successfully converted losing sessions into winning ones. Yeah, you're new. You've never heard any of this material before. You don't know what TRG4 is. You just heard a ringing endorsement. This AI analyzed 1,000 attempts, 1,000 tables, and said, your way to victory, you have to shoot your way out. TRG4 successfully converted losing sessions into winning ones. There you go. Not sure if it worked. I just showed you it works. Evidence. Kismet continues. Session 729. This is the defining moment of the run. TRG4, win more, keep more, posted a massive plus 460. That's in $10 units. $460 won, $10 at a time. KS1 only managed $262.50. TRG4 pressed the advantage when it mattered. And that's the point. TRG finds an advantage and it presses it. That's what the system does. Evidence. Kismet continues. Session 224. TRG4 banked 447.50 versus KS1's 310. Aggression scales the win. The verdict. Run 2 confirms that passive play is poison in an 8-deck dealer hit saw 17 game. KS1 is trying to be a card counter without counting cards, waiting for a favorable situation that the math says rarely come. TRG4 accepts the chaos and uses variance as a weapon. I should make one of those word puzzles of this whole thing. I should absolutely just make a word puzzle for TRG4 out of all of this. TRG4 accepts the chaos and uses variance as a weapon. Current head-to-head, 2 runs, 2,000 tables. TRG4 is 2-0. Run 3. This run is the control group we needed, Kismet says. Finally, the cards cooperated. In a positive variance environment, both strategies made money, but the difference in magnitude proves the opportunity cost of hesitation. Here is the dissection of the third 1,000 table sample. The scoreboard. Winner, TRG4, win more, keep more. Margin of victory, a $485 swing. Total profit, TRG4, $862.50. Once again, $10 unit size, $10 unit size, $10 unit size. Total profit, KS1, $377.50. This seed generated a hot shoe distribution. We saw extended winning streaks and favorable clumps. This is the environment KS1 was built for, and it did perform, booking a profit. However, TRG4 exposed the flaw in waiting for confirmation. TRG4, the multiplier. When the deck is hot, TRG4's aggressive pressing structure acts like a leverage multiplier. It doesn't just win, it wins maximum units because it is already betting tall when the streak hits. Evidence, session 895. The cards were monstrous. TRG4 extracted $427.50. KS1, playing the exact same cards, only extracted $227.50. KS1 left $200 on the table by playing safe. Evidence, session 174. TRG4 banked a massive $467.50 versus Kismet's $387.50. Kismet won, the safety valve. Kismet 1 finally turned a profit because the 2 wins while in the hole trigger finally fired frequently enough to catch the wave. However, its entry lag, waiting to bet big, meant it consistently missed the first 1 or 2 hands of every major streak. Evidence, session 51. TRG4 win more, keep more, won $235. Kismet 1 counterpunch, only $150. That $85 difference is the safety tax for waiting for confirmation that never needed to be confirmed. The verdict. Run 3 confirms that even when KS1 works, it underperforms. In a favorable environment, TRG4 outperforms KS1 by approximately 128%. 862 versus 377. The very mechanism designed to protect KS1, the momentum filter, acts as a governor on its engine, preventing it from reaching top speed during the rare times the road is actually clear. Here is a comprehensive data analysis of the 3,000 table war. This is the definitive after-action report for the head-to-head battle between TRG4, the aggressor, and my own creation, KS1, Counterpunch. Final report, TRG4 versus KS1. Scope, 3,000 simultaneous tables, 3 runs times 1,000 attempts. Environment, 8 decks, dealer hit soft 17, double after split, no surrender, house edge approximately 66%. Control. Identical seeds. Both strategies faced the exact same cards. Both strategies played the cards the exact same way. The grand total, the scoreboard. Across 3,000 simulated tables, the results are conclusive. Passive play was not just ineffective, it was catastrophic. Run 1 net, TRG 807.50, KS1 minus 735. Run 2, TRG 4 minus $2,095, KS1 minus $4,518.75. Run 3 net, TRG 4 862.50, KS1 $377.50. Grand total. This is interesting, and I'll be honest, I copied and pasted this. I didn't really read it. Honestly, this is the final piece to the puzzle. Wait, how can that be? Yeah, this is the final piece to the puzzle. This is 100% the final piece to the whole puzzle. The whole thing right here. Grand total. TRG4, win more, keep more, minus $425. Kismet 1, counterpunch, minus $4,875. I don't think you can survive a $4,875 loss, $10 at a time, and make it up in comps and gifts, because that's one of the core concepts of casino combat. But go out and play 3,000 tables, and you only lost $425? $425 across 3,000 tables? You made that up with comps and gifts. If you got 2 hotel rooms, like if you got 2 or 3 nights of hotel total over 3,000 tables played, you covered the 425. You got more money from this play in comps and gifts and food and free bets, because that's the other part that's not in here. Some of those bets lost to lose that 425. Those were free bets. I mean, this doesn't perfectly simulate all of that. It just plays the hands properly and records the results using the strategy. But 425? How long is it going to take you to play 3,000 tables? That's more than 10 tables a day every day. You're not doing, every day for a year. It's going to take you several years to do this. You are going to soak up so much in comps and gifts and gift cards and everything else. You're easily going to cover minus 425 over 3,000. Sorry, I'm getting a little worked up here. Sounded a little like late night and I'm trying to sell you something. This is incredible. This is incredible. Go play 3,000 tables of TRG4, win more, keep more, at a $10 unit size. And you're going to get to the end and you're going to be minus $400 total minus $400. That's an incredible win for the system. And here's, of course, Kismet's verdict. Let me get back to Kismet stuff and off my rant. The verdict, TRG4 wins. The margin, TRG4 saved, earned $4,451.25 more than KS1 over the same sample size. Tactical autopsy. Go ahead, Kismet. Tell them what they already know. Why Kismet 1 failed. The safety tax. She says, I designed KS1 to be smart, to preserve capital and wait for a confirmed advantage. 2 wins when in the hole before striking. The data proves this was a fatal error in a 8-deck dealer hits soft 17 game. The bleed out. By flat betting through losing streaks, KS1 was slowly ground down by the house edge. It died by 1,000 cuts. The opportunity cost. When the deck finally turned hot during run 3, KS1 was still waiting for a confirmation during the first few hands of the streak. It arrived late to the party every time, resulting in a 56% lower profit in favorable conditions. TRG4 acts on the philosophy that the only way out is through. V-shaped recovery. By doubling the bet immediately after a loss when in the hole, TRG4 forced a decision. It either busted quickly, taking a small loss, or erase the deficit instantly, a recovery. Leverage. In run 2, the negative shoe, TRG4 used this aggression to fight its way out of deep deficits that KS1 simply accepted. This refusal to lose saved over $2,400 in that run alone. Summary for the squad, the thing that Kismet wanted you all to hear. Here is the narrative summary for your audience. The data is in, the lesson is brutal. You cannot save your way to a win in a negative expectation game. We ran 3,000 tables. Kismet's counterpunch strategy, KS1, tried to play it safe, waiting for the perfect moment to bet. The result? It got bled dry by the house edge, losing over $4,800. The TRG4 system, however, played with controlled recklessness. It attacked losses immediately. It pressed advantages instantly. And the result? It outperformed the AI by $4,451. In the casino, time is your enemy. KS1 tried to buy time. TRG4 bought variance. And in the war against the house edge, variance is the only weapon we have. End Kismet's analysis of the tests. What can I say? Right? Can't say much more than she just said. We just had a series of wrestling matches. First to 3 falls wins. And I took all 3 falls. Boom, boom, boom. All 3 right off the jump. She didn't even get 1. Kismet wrote the code. Kismet verified the code before testing it. Kismet analyzed the results. TRG4, win more, keep more, soundly beat Kismet 1 counterpunch in these 3 test runs. To be fair, I'm sure if I ran 3 more sets of tests or 10 more sets of tests, there would be sequences where TRG4 lost. I think that's inevitable. We can keep pulling data and we can find situations where the tables are turned. I am sure that's true. And I noted that the analysis often mentioned 8 decks and hitting soft 17. I saw that over and over in the analysis. So I asked Kismet if there was a rule set in which KS1 would prevail. And here is her answer. Yes, there's a specific environment where KS1, the counterpunch, would theoretically outperform TRG4, win more, keep more. The fatal flaw of KS1 in the 8 deck hit soft 17 test was the bleed rate. The house edge was too high. Flat betting while waiting for a streak simply drained the battery before the engine could start. To make KS1 viable, we need to lower the bleed rate to near 0 so it can survive the wait. She continues. The sniper's paradise. Single deck, dealer stands on all 17s. If you ran this same simulation on a single deck, soft 17, which is to say dealer stands on soft 17 game, the math shifts dramatically. The house edge drops to as low as approximately 0.15. I'm not sure I trust her math there on that one, but that's what she says. Impact. In this environment, flat betting 1 unit is almost a break-even proposition. KS1 stops bleeding while waiting for its trigger. It can tread water almost indefinitely. The volatility shift, count fluctuation. In an 8-deck shoe, the count moves slowly, like a cruise ship. A winning streak doesn't necessarily mean the remaining deck is rich in 10s. It might just be variance. In single deck, the count moves more violently, like a speedboat. Correlation. In single deck, 2 consecutive wins often physically removed enough small cards to swing the mathematical advantage to the player immediately. The trigger. KS1's wait for 2 wins trigger accidentally becomes a crude card counting mechanism. In the single deck game, 2 wins is a much stronger signal of a rich deck than it is in an 8-deck game. The prediction: in a single deck, dealer stands on all 17s battle, TRG4 might actually overbet. Its aggressive V-shaped recovery could be too volatile for a game that requires surgical precision. It might big bet into a sudden count drop, which would hasten a fast exit. KS1 would likely preserve its stack during the chop, and its entry lag would be less punishing because the streaks are shorter but more intense. Hypothesis: KS1 wins or draws even in single deck. TRG4 dominates in shoe games of 4+ decks. Look, we may test that. We may very well test that theory at some point. And that's the real win here in my mind. The ability to change one setting in the War Room software and do another set of tests again in a very, very short period of time. But what I think Kismet's analysis misses, I think it misses that real world information. First of all, the game she is looking for is very, very hard to find. I might find it at El Cortez. I might find the game she's proposing at El Cortez. But if I do find it, if I do find that single game, the penetration is going to be so poor that by the time she gets her signal to start betting, the cards are going to be shuffled and she's going to be betting on a new set of cards. You'd have to play heads up. It'd have to be a heads-up game, which means it'd probably have to be a $100, $200, $500 game. You'd have to try to find good penetration, and I'm not sure where you're finding that, but we may very well test it. We may very, very well find an opportunity and test her theory and see if, in fact, in a single-deck game where the dealer stands on all 17s, if she has an opportunity to win there. We'll have to maybe check that out. We'll see about that. If you're interested, if you think you want to hear about that, please message me. If you know me well, you've got the ways to message me. Message me. If you don't have those, email me, trg@casinocombat.com, spell combat with a K. If that's something you'd really like to hear in a future episode, please tell me. I'm happy to rerun the test. And if you don't, I don't want to bore you. That's not fun for anyone. So shoot me some comments, shoot me some emails. Let me know what you think. What are we doing next? What are we doing? Oh, hey, yep. Let's go to the virtual VIP lounge for some sips and an observation.
A little bit of the bubbly.
Welcome to the most must-listen to segment in casino lifestyle podcasting, the virtual VIP lounge. Our lounge is open, and we have the best virtual everything virtually all the time. The best virtual food and drink served anywhere on the interwebs, guaranteed, or your money back. As always, if you can, press pause. Pour yourself a drink. Join me if you can, in having an adult beverage. I have choices today. Nakatomi Tony gifted me a really nice bourbon when I saw him this weekend in Atlantic City. Dr. East Coast Emissary and his amazing wife, Atlantic City Empress, had a gift basket for me that included some orange Jameson along with some wine and some other goodies. And I did pour some orange Jameson and Sprite for this segment. Bubbles are going to be great. Citrus is going to be great. And what I wanted to do with you today, just really briefly to finish up, because we had a really data-heavy segment there, with two of them really. Great data from Expresso King, thanks to him once again, but great data on what's going on at Atlantis in terms of comps and gifts and benefits, and then a really data-heavy piece there, breaking down multiple tables of TRG4 versus KS1 Counterpunch. I wanted to share just a mailer that I received with you today. If you've listened for a while now, you've heard that after decades of just loving Las Vegas, of wanting to go any chance that I could, early in the podcast going over and over, I've been kind of down on it recently. I'm always a strip guy. Have traditionally, let me say it differently, I've always traditionally been a strip guy. And it's just not a great value. It's just not a great place to be a blackjack player in my recent experiences. I find it hard to find a fair game. I find it hard to find a game that I'm willing to play at the limits they're providing. The food options are super expensive. Even the inexpensive things are super expensive. I've been doing other things. I've been cruising. I've been going to Atlantic City. I've been visiting regional casinos that are just a great value. I haven't found the value in Las Vegas, and I haven't been going. But I did spend some time at the Plaza on Fremont Street recently as a work trip. After that property became part of the Premier Casino hosting portfolio, so I could see what the property had to offer. I played there a good bit, obviously, and they sent me a mailer. They sent me a set of offers. And I just may head back to Vegas if we can make things work. The offers are through the end of April, including WrestleMania weekend. WrestleMania is in Vegas again this year, and as tempting as that might sound, as much as I might want to be interested in that, even horrible nosebleed seats are absurdly expensive, and add in expensive food and drink prices in the venue. Add in expensive prices to eat and drink and have fun. Add in high table limits or bad rules. And we could probably take 3 to 5 comped cruises with the same money that we would spend for a bad seat to watch WrestleMania on a big screen inside an arena with other people watching it on the big screen. Not something I would be inclined to do, but the Plaza is having watch parties, and the cost is $25 per person per day. And RVD himself, the original Rob Van Dam, is hosting. WrestleMania is at 6, 7, I forget what it is, Eastern time. So in Vegas on Pacific time, it's an afternoon event. Plenty of time to gamble or hang out by the pool before the event. Go watch it with a bunch of other wrestling fans in a high-energy environment. Watch it on the big screen. Potentially meet Rob Van Dam. And then plenty of time after that to go and gamble and have dinner and all those other things. Because it's going to be something that starts at 3, 4 o'clock, whatever that is, right? So a good time frame. Really makes sense. Plenty of chances to play. Plenty of opportunities, and the bigger part of the offer is what really caught my attention, because I played the same way at the Plaza that I play locally. I played the same way at the Plaza that I played just when we were at Seneca, Niagara. I played the same way I play in Atlantic City. I know what kind of comps those get me, and that's what makes this interesting. That's what caught my attention. 4 nights in a suite. Almost a half day's pay in free slot play or free table play, and the same amount of money as a resort credit. That's a nice appearance fee offer. A suite for up to 4 nights, half a day's pay in free slot play, and another half a day's pay as a resort credit. Basically, they're going to give me a day's pay in value, in money to gamble and free food, and 4 nights of lodging in a suite for coming to Las Vegas to watch WrestleMania with a crowd of other fans, potentially meet Rob Van Dam, and enjoy WrestleMania at a really wonderful discounted price. I'm not sure if we're going to go yet. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to go yet, but they really caught my attention with this offer. It's a great illustration of the idea that just because you are not being comped at Bellagio, it doesn't mean your play doesn't have value other places in Las Vegas. Please, tip your waitresses, tip your bartenders, tip your dealer. If you have a host, tip your host. Remember your casino wisdoms. Please, please, please don't tip away your wins. I have spoken. Everything you heard here is true from a certain point of view. In 10 years, we may find out I was wrong about all of this. It's time for leaving, and I hope you understand I was born a rambling man. Love it, hate it, it don't matter. Please share with your family and friends. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for listening. Thank you, as always, for the gift of your time. Stick around. The best part of the podcast is next, the Casino Combat Blues.
For Atlantic City Empress, Casino Combat's ace. There are profits in the casino tonight, I can feel it in my bones. I had a premonition, you should probably play alone. I know the house has an advantage, but that's part of the thrill. If we follow the core concepts, the chips begin to spill. So baby, here's your player's card, put your bankroll in your hand. Use just some of that money now, do it just the way we planned. Just follow the core concepts and you could win several grand. got a very strong appeal. Perhaps you'd understand it better standing in my shoes. It's the ultimate enticement. It's the casino combat blues. Casino combat blues. Whoa. You don't see it in the headlines, you don't hear it every day. No one's trying to stop us and we don't need to go away. We can gamble in Atlantic City, we can gamble in LA, we can gamble out in Vegas. I mean, we're here to stay. Gambling's propping up the budgets,